and I want to thank you all for attending today's class. Today's class is CorelDraw, so we're going to jump right into the graphic mode by clicking on CorelDraw Graphics and get a little familiar with the tools and menu. And once again, this class is being recorded. So first thing we need to do is get a little familiar with some of the tools. The first thing I like to do is make sure you may want to set up your work area. So you may want to zoom out, and as you see, I have an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. You can change that, rotate it. If you tend to want to work maybe with a smaller design, say 5 by 5, you can actually put that in the screen. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the standard 8 by 11. And when you're working outside of Corel, you can use custom menus and stuff like that, or outside of the plugin when you're working with Corel by itself. And then, of course, you have the inches and the metrics if you need to change them. And every time I click on something, the toolbar up above may change, as you see. So as I'm going through my little menus, you will see these menus will change. So, and then of course, with Wilcom and Corel, you see the little triangle. That means there's additional tools hidden below that. So you can click on that and actually move those out if you need to. I'm having some trouble with that for some reason through when it's in the plugin through Wilcom, but you can actually click on those and get that to come out. But otherwise, you can go through your toolbars and view it through there. As you see, I may have my line tool up as arrange, and you see line and distribute. I do have that when I have multiple items on the screen, for example. I'm just going to put those two, and I can go through my menu and put those toolbars or dockers, align, distribute, checked it. And what I usually do, if you're new, click on the hint. That way it brings up the hint tool. So when you grab that, you will see on the top what happens. You could go ahead and align the tool, and that'll bring up the line tools. Or otherwise, arrange, align, distribute. Or otherwise, which I close that line tool, and I apologize for that. There it is. And then I could align them to the left, straight, or top, or so forth on there. Okay? So, we're going to get into some of the drawing, and as I said, you will see the hint. And what we're going to do is, the first icon on the left is your select tool, just like if you were going to select in Wilcom. The Reshape tool, just like Reshape, you're going to actually reshape the nose or the handlebars and some additional effects with the Corel has, and we'll get back to that. And then Wilcom has a knife tool, very similar to Corel, but they have additional tools in there. And then you got the zoom and so forth. The first one is I'm going to go through is a freehand tool, and all you do is left click and drag your mouse across by holding your left mouse button. If you're using a tablet, as soon as you hit the screen or your tablet, you can start drawing and make little objects. Okay? And you will notice when I grab these tools and go to the Reshape tool, you will see these little handlebars through here. And those are nodes, which will cause you to be able to reshape these. Now, with Corel, they have different nodes where Wilcom has a circle or a straight box for a straight line or a circle for curves. So what I mean by that is if I go into the Wilcom mode, you will see when I select that and reshape that, you will see additional nodes. Now you're wondering why it has additional nodes. You will see that there was a node and 2 handlebars for every node. So that's why it seems to have that. You can go into your setup options and then go into your Reshape tool and select the Bezier tool and click on that. And then you will see it looks very similar. 1, 2, 3. They changed back very similar to CorelDraw. And you will see they move very similar. You can actually click on those, make it a straight line, and still have one handlebar, as you see, and it will always go depending on the direction you have. So I'm going to go back to the drawing mode, and you will see that it made the changes through here, and they are straight line, and there's only one turn. Now you will also notice here that these nodes, some will move independently from the other side, and others, when you grab it, might move in sync, which I'm going to go ahead and make that into a curve, as you will see there. And there's what they call smooth and never can say that word, but it's synchronized, whatever. And then there's the cusp, where you will be able to move only one angle without affecting the other side. And you will see when I have that selected that these are the 3 icons through here to change them. So if I want to make this so I could move each node independently, I could do that by holding that. Otherwise, if I want to make it as smooth or evenly, I can do that. Another shortcut key is when you have that node is to hit the C or the S, and that will change it. So I just hit the S. I'm going to hit the S again, and you can see that. And then if I want a C, I could change that. Instead of moving my mouse up there, there's a quicker way of doing that. And this will help you reshape the nodes when you get a graphic and edit those. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that. And of course, there is other tools under there. Now, these are all line tools as a 2-point line. The Bezier, which you're going to click, drag, and pull. If you need to hit the C, you can bring it up and drag and pull C and up. Or otherwise, if you want to go S, you could drag to one side, S, drag both sides, and you could actually draw. And if you practice this by tracing outlines, you will get very good at that by hitting the S, C, and so forth on there. And then so forth, enter. And then, of course, if I need to do this, there is a way to hold the Alt key and move it if you make a mistake. So let's say I was tracing something and I didn't quite get the line, and I want to fix that without doing backspace. I can hit the Alt and then continue it. So there's different ways of editing and redrawing an object with the Bezier tool, and that's something that you may want to learn. Artistic is actually kind of like drawing tools that gives you special effects. Now, of course, if I go to view wireframes, you will see there's a line on there, and that's where you would edit and recreate it on there. So I'm going to go back to enhance to show you that. And of course, you could change the colors, and there's tons of different effects. There's the pen tool, and then more through this. So I'm not going to get too much into this because, like I said, there's drawings, originals, and you can actually create your own and more. As the paintbrush tool, you can go through here and go artistic, and then there might be some other symbols through here if you want to kind of make, kind of tree branches or lightning and so forth, and leaves, and maybe make a leaf. So then there's a spray brush. So you got a bunch of through there. Maybe you want to go through there and kind of like dash through here and so forth. And of course, I know some of you are trying to think, can that be converted? Now, these are quite, some of these has a lot of colors and blending through here. But, some of these you may look at it and want to try to convert it. So I'm going to just grab that one and convert that only. And you will see through there that that is stitches. I did black. That it did create that. So you can use that. Now, of course, that's a lot of colors through here if I try to do those. So sometimes it may not work, or too many colors or so forth. So I'm going to go back to graphic. And of course, when you do select some of these, you have the option to match your color palette in the embroidery mode. So no matter if this is a gray color or something, and then you select this and you got match your palette. If you don't have a gray, it's going to try to match the closest color. So if you have 3, 4, 5 colors and you want to use your Bezier thread, 1147 rayon, or some of your other threads, and you have your palette already made and you pull the graphic, you can convert that. And of course, it's going to try to find, as you see, these are all my Bezier threads, and it was more of a light tan, grayish tan that was up there instead of my black. So it did the closest to that color. So that's another thing through here. This is red and orange. It would probably convert it and try to match that. So I'm going to go back to the graphic mode through there. You can hide the embroidery objects by clicking the show embroidery or not. So if you're working and you're doing combination, you're taking one step at a time, because you might have one object on top of another object, as I'm going to put here and copy. And well, actually, I didn't want to do that way. I'm just going to take another object and put a circle there with maybe a blue. And if I want to convert this, what's going to happen is going to remove the overlap. So under this, it should chop that black apart so you don't have stitches on top of stitches. But sometimes you might have lettering that is on top of a circle or in a banner, and you may want to take one step at a time. And that's where you may want to say, not to show embroidery or be able to grab and work with your objects. So I'm going to go ahead and say, hey, I want that black, convert that. And did I say convert or did I say embroidery? Probably said embroidery. Sometimes I do that. So let's go, yep. So I'm going to grab the black. And I thought I said convert. Maybe. Okay, that one. Edit, undo, move. Artistic brush. You may have to convert it to curves on some of these. So what I'm going to do, object, and say through my color object list, I'm going to hide that. And I must have closed my color object list. So let's move that out of there. Oh, there it is. Okay, take that. I'm going to go ahead. As you see, it's artistic. You may want to break that apart. And of course, there is a imaginary line there. View wireframes. That line is there, but you don't see it. So I'm going to delete that. Reselect that. View, enhance, make it a color that we can see. And then I'm going to say convert. That should convert, and then I can go back to the graphic mode and then select that blue object and then say convert that. That way I may have my stitches on top if it's a small area or travel or lettering. So that's another way. Take steps by steps. You don't have to grab your whole design and try to convert it. I like to break things apart. As I was brought up as a boy, I love to tear things apart and see how things work. So that is not a bad thing. Mom, you're not always right. So let's go delete some of those. In fact, I'm going to go back to the embroidery mode and grab all those and delete those. Get back to the drawing mode, and you can see the hint tool, and you can leave it open and realize we do have other ones where we got a square. I'm going to go ahead and grab a square. Now you would notice that bottom right hand corner, I have no fill, just the outline. That's because I never selected a color. So if I left click, you will see it change the square if I have it selected. If I do not have anything selected and select a color, it should ask me what I want to do this with. Graphics or call out, artistic text, or so forth. So I'm going to do it as a graphic. And now I have a yellow fill. You will see also there's the pen. That means I have a black outline. That is a right click. So if I want to have a orange outline, I could have an orange outline. So now when I grab a box, and I'm going to zoom in, and left click and drag, I could also, as you see, if I hold the control key, corner my hint, it will restrain it to a perfect square. If I do a shift, it will start the square from the middle, but if I hold the shift and control, it will strain and start from where I started selecting it. Also, while I have this object selected, if I scroll through here, you will see there's several ways I can reshape it. If I click it again, then I can rotate it. And this is your axis point, just like Wilcom, that it will axis. I could hit the space bar and space and space, 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 and space, and kind of make a quick design if I have leaves or so. Otherwise, you could use your range tool in the Wilcom or in the Corel mode. Otherwise, Wilcom does have its own arrange tools if you want to do it with embroidery or graphics. Corel only works with graphics on there. So as you see, each rectangle, when I select it, shows a fill with the orange outline. So I could right click, change the outline, and then I could also drag, and you will see my cursor change. If I get close to the edge, it creates a hollow square. That means it's the outline. Otherwise, if I drag into the circle, that's the fill. Or by having it selected, I could just left click for the fill, right click for the outline. I could double click on the design. I could change the thickness of the line. So right now I got 4 millimeters, and now I got 4 millimeters. Now, one thing you will notice here, if I zoom in, that might be 4 millimeters, but if I go wireframes, you will see it's only one line box. So I'm going to grab this line here, And actually, there is a trick to rotate this. So I'm going to rotate this in Corel and try to get that line through there, about right there. As you see, there's that line. I'm pretty close to there. Go back into Enhance. You will see approximate that there's 4 pixels or 4 millimeters. 2 of it is on the inside of the box. 2 of it is on the outside of that line of the box. So when I create this and I say convert, you will see that TrueView Wilcom does nice fill tuck underneath on there, as you see there, and I can't put the lines and rotate it. I have asked Wilcom Australia to do that, but they just find it's not feasible for the embroidery as of this point. They want to work on other parts of that. So maybe in the future, but if I go edit, undo, you will see now if I select that, double click on there, there's additional tools through here. And I could change it to inches and pixels and more. I could also take the corners round. So when I do that, it kind of rounds the corner. Of course, curious, you want to convert it. See what happens? It's not going to really take that corner rounded because it's really a line. The box was a straight line and it was a stroke outline. To get that curve, you have to break the line apart. And I'll show you how to do that. But before we go any further, I'm just going to go ahead to the pen tool. Another way to do that is instead of the bottom right, you could go to your pen outline and change the thickness. You could change the color. And you could also go through here and maybe make it round as when I have it selected. Forgot. Sorry about that. Okay. I also could say, hey, I want to put the line behind the fill. Also, if I scale this design, do I want the line to scale with the object? So right now I'm going to go ahead and it's at 4 millimeters. I'm going to say behind, and now it looks thinner. That's because part of your fill is underneath the box, even though it's 4 millimeters. As I said, if I say convert, you will see that Wilcom does not look at the outline stroke as being on the top or bottom. It's still going to be that 4 millimeters. So when you convert your design, you might have sometimes wonder why the line might be coming thicker or not. And also, what I like to do is keep my graphics on the screen. So I'm going to go ahead and do, and you will notice that it will say to keep the original object. So if I don't, and I uncheck that, and I take this object right here, and it's unchecked, and I say convert, you will notice my graphic has disappeared underneath the fill pattern. And then I have only the 2 objects, and I don't have my additional graphics. So I'm going to say undo move and go back. And I like to keep it. Now, decal, you cannot grab your objects in your color object list in the Wilcom mode on that, only EmbroideryStudio. So another thing is, as I mentioned, that's 4 millimeters. If I scale this design, you will see that line stays the same thickness, 4 millimeters on there. If I said scale with the object, and I take this and scale it upwards, that line gets bigger. So that's one thing you need to do when you get graphics, and when you create graphics, kind of study them. Go through your object list and notice, hey, this is a rectangle. Okay, do I need to convert it to curves? Because one thing with the rectangle, you can grab the corners and change the corners of how they look. So this is a design, and you could do it independently by maybe changing one corner and the other corner, and then whether you want to keep it proportionally locked or not when you change these. So you could change those and make different shapes, or keep them locked and do the proportionally. So when you change one, you will change all of them, and I'm going to exaggerate that you change all of them on there. Okay? So edit, undo on there. So there's different ways, and then of course you cannot grab those nodes and reshape them. You may want to turn it to curves. So right here you could go a little curve there, or right click and say convert to curves. Now you could grab those Bezier tools, and you would notice that it is showing that this is the cut. Whoops. And let me go back. Sometimes when I record, that I could grab that. This is the line because you see it's grayed out. So maybe I'll just grab that, or right click and say convert to curves. So now I got both of them, but I'm affecting the other side. So maybe I want to undo that and grab these two nodes, change that, and maybe grab this because it's a curve. Otherwise, I could double click and add and maybe change one way and so forth. So I can do something really neat and maybe eventually make an acorn or something like that to make my drawing. So I converted to curves on there. Another thing with these objects, and then, like I said, you got the circle tool, same thing, control, shift from the center, shift control. You have your outline as yellow, orange. You have stars. You have different tools. So if you need to make a star, you notice it says 5-star, 6, 7, 8 points. How do you want the points? You could actually drag and move them up, and or otherwise take the nodes and pull them in or out. And of course, if you want to do the other one, polygon, you could actually 3, 4, 5, 6, and then of course you could grab those, and you could actually twist theirs to get something. As you see the help right there, you could change that. So not only you could actually make a star look if you have certain things, this one allows you to actually twist and move and so forth. So you could do that. And then maybe convert it to curves, and you may want to delete some of the nodes to do something different, and take that object, and let's say we're going to make that larger and wider. And okay, you could actually grab the objects. Now this is outline. I'm going to right click the X. That's going to move my outline. As you see there, if I left click, it's going to remove the fill. Right click creates the outline. Left click fill, and so forth. Now some of you may be noticing I do have multi-colors. This is because if you highlight it, I use a CYMK for my direct-to-garment printer, Pantone for screen printing, and then RGB, so might be with a photograph and so forth. And that's kind of answers the question about why do I have so many different color palettes. Because these color palettes do have multi-colors through here, as you see, and you can maybe go through the slider and so forth and that. So now I have that, but you would notice when I go to view wireframe, that is two different objects. And if I go enhance and I try to convert this, even though it looks like one object, I'm going to try to delete some of these designs so we have some more room. If I take this and try to convert it, you would see here that sometimes it will convert with two different objects, as you see through here. And you will notice there is a node separating it. Do my color object, as I mentioned, that when you convert things, it tends to want to use what we call branching. So it creates multiple objects as one, kind of like group, but it's not really grouped. So in all reality, if I say break it apart, you see that is two different objects. And I really wanted that as one. So I'm going to go edit, undo, move, and go back to my original design. And actually went there quite a bit. I should have probably done the quick way and did quite a few through the drop-down menu. So I got this object through here, and I'm going to go ahead and close that hint because you could use that anytime you want. I got the view, wireframes, and what I want to do is make it one object. So I'm going to go view, enhance, and while I have both of those objects selected, you will see a little tool here. Now this is an additional option or element tool in Wilcom that you can do this with embroidery. And this is how you remove holes, add holes, and remove overlaps, and weld things, and more. So if you go through here, you will see the first one says weld. So I'm going to go ahead, click on there, and you see my object list. If you didn't see that, edit, undo, weld. There was two objects, and I just welded it as one object, as you see, view, wireframe. So now that's welded. Edit, view, enhance. So that's how some of these objects are created when you have a circle. And I'm going to remove the outline through here. And then I'm going to go ahead and create another circle. This one I'm going to actually make it white and put it on top. That looks like a letter O or donut or so, but you notice I got two objects. And this object could be the exact same color. So I can take these two objects, copy that here, and make that yellow for both of them. So now they're both yellow, as you see that. I got one on top of the other. Even though it looks like there's nothing there, view, wireframe, you see they're basically almost identical. View, enhance. You know this one is white from my object manager. That's why I always like to keep this open, even with Wilcom. That way I know what I'm working with. And then I got another one. I can take those objects and convert it, to curves. Doesn't matter. I will make them both curve objects like I got it from a customer. And I may not notice that. And if I take these objects and I go convert, and I looked at the object and I turn my true view, I'm going, wait a minute, what's this? Why do I have that little groove in the design? And I'm looking at it, and I looked at my object, and I see, oh, something's branched. That must be more than one object. So I'm going to go ahead and break that apart, and I notice that there's a hole. Wilcom removed the overlap and made it into one object, very similar to the object I have here. As you see, there's a hole or a circle on top of the circle. So I'm going to go back to the graphic mode. I know that's on top. of that. Whoops. And I'm having a hard time sometimes grabbing these objects through here. Well, I know there's two objects through here. I can combine that to make it one object on there. As I said through here, this is filled a hole. I thought that was the color of the background or the sheet. So now I can actually grab that and say convert and get the result that I thought I was going to get, because this actually was a white circle on top of the yellow, and I didn't realize it because I had a white background. Edit, undo, move. And let's just grab all those embroidery objects, delete those, and go to the graphics. So by combining and welding, I can make Mickey Mouse and more and so forth. Just like the letter A, I could type in the letter A, and I could actually break this apart. And now you notice through here that it is one object, but if I go back and break it apart again, this is that square triangle on top of the letter A. And that's how they make different objects. So you could actually eventually go and make your own alphabets or whatever you want, and then use it and combine it or reshape it or do more. You could also go through some of the other effects. Like I said, there's a lot of basic shapes. You could break them apart and use them. You could use a happy face and more, because there's, you know, when you go through these lists, you will see there's several different objects through here. Basic shapes. You got the happy face. If you haven't tried this, there is no outline. You don't see no mouth, but I'm going to right click. Now I see the outline, and I could actually make it a sad face and so forth. And I could actually convert that as just convert. Now it's actually embroidered with black outlines now. And then do that. And like I said, I can actually convert all this to curve and maybe say, hey, I want to break this apart, but I want to take this object of the circle. I actually want to go edit, undo, move. You can see those. And I'm going to take that object and I'm going to go arrange, convert the outline to an object. Now, I could do that. Now I got an outline around that. So maybe I want an outline on that. So there's a lot of things you could do through here and take different effects. So if I wanted, I could take these objects, edit, undo, go back, and take this outline, view, enhance. And I said this one, I may want to do a thicker line. Okay. I know this was on top. I'm going to give it a white eye. And this one I'm going to give a white eye. And I'm going to go ahead and grab these two, bring it on top. And then the mouth, I'm going to give it a red mouth, bring that on top. And that mouth, I may want to, actually, I got to convert that line into a curve object, convert to curves. And actually, I could probably reshape this to make it a mouth on there, to give it more of a frown. And then take this, I can put eyeballs and more. Knowing what your object is doing, there's a lot you could do. And then I can say convert. And now I got a cute little face on there. Like I said, I could put eyeballs in there with a little different frown face look. And of course I can go back and edit these or do what I want or weld them and more. I got a nice border through there with the run stitch on thinner area and so forth. So I'm going to go back to the graphic mode. In fact, I'm going to get rid of that little face. Don't want to make you guys unhappy now. So we have this letter A, and you could actually, if you do any cutting, vinyl cutting or anything like that, you could create a contour through this design, through the inside or outside. You can create multiple steps, make it thicker or more. And this is how, very similar to what the applique is created, but I'm going to do this for vinyl, so I'm going to go ahead and break this apart. And what happens is, if I'm doing cutter, I'm going to put that piece as my red and then put that on top. Or otherwise, applique, you might have two pieces of applique. You might put a red down and a black. Instead of trying to have that big varsity letter, you will use two pieces, and then you can convert those with stitches with the outline. And you could do that one at a time or through the Corel mode or Wilcom mode, okay? The other thing is, some of the other ones, as I talked about, by reshaping in that, you do have the contour. You can actually take this object and blend it to the next one. So I'm going to go grab that and blend it to this A. And depending on how I have these settings, I could have different colors, how many steps, and so forth. And what it's going to do is try to convert it. Now, that's probably a pretty bad example because there was two different. One was the letter A and one wasn't. So what I like to do is grab a circle. And then I'm going to right click and grab another circle, copy that, and change that maybe to a different color. And then I like to take the blend and bring that. And then I got multiple colors, maybe 10 steps. And of course, I may not want to match my palette. I may want to add to the palette because I may not have all those. And it should create some of these, depending on how many graduate changes. It might take 2 or 3 and make them together or so forth. So I'm going to actually make it a little less. And I'm going to go ahead and grab those and say convert. And you will see that it created different objects. Now, it did put these two together through there. And whether it was branched or not, it did not. It made it one because it all was combined as the same color. And then these two are separate. So because it was all combined and it was blending, it did weld these two where it did not separate those because it was not quite too defined of a color change. So earlier I showed you two objects being the same color. It may put that groove and branch it. Okay, but that was a different tool, so it actually created and welded together. That's why I said you may want to verify the blending on that. Okay, so we went through some of the reshaping and everything else. The last thing is you might get a design from a customer, and what I'm going to do is file, import, and you need to create that or digitize that on there. And I don't know why my screen flashed. Should be going to the L drive. It might be because I'm doing recording on this class, so give me a minute and hopefully it will get to my drive. There it goes. Yep, L, that's my server. I'm going to go ahead and maybe grab that peach for the heck of it. It is a CorelDraw file. Let's see. Let's do a bitmap. Let's see about this. Here's a JPEG. I'm going to go ahead and import that. And now you're going to see, oh, that's only 72 dots, and that's only 1 inch in size. That's a very low quality. Yeah, we get those kind of customers. So now we got to try to clean this artwork up. You're not going to get much on there. That's why it's probably better to ask for a customer to give you best quality actual size. And they don't understand the dots, because as you scale that up, you will see now it's 40 dots per inch and so forth. So I'm going to go at temp. to create this by doing a trace. And so there's a quick trace, trace outline, and the trace as a low quality image through here, and you will see how low quality that is. And you may want to add some more detail or so forth, or otherwise you may want to try to say and try to get that. You're going to get more colors on that. That's why if you do low quality, you're going to tell your customer, hey, this is so small, it's smaller than a needle. But you could take those yellows and then you could combine them, merge it together, and then you may want to get rid of some of these other colors. As you select it, you will see these are parts of the design, kind of turn lines. You might want to take that and merge that with the blacks and grab all the blacks together and merge those. And then the browns, I'm going to merge the browns maybe because it's supposed to be his fingers through here. So I see a brown through here, and I see his nose. Well, that's part of his face. But I could take some of these colors and merge them together to the black. And then, of course, I got the gray through here. It's so small, I'm going to merge that with the black. And actually, I'm going to take this color and edit to make it into a black. So I'm going to actually grab that and just bring it down. As you can see through there, I got a white, blue. Yeah, I got a couple other spots. The forehead and that. Those, I'm going to merge those. Take the blues, merge those. Now I'm getting closer to lower quantity colors. I don't even know where this gray is. It's so small. So I can't even see it. I don't see no checkered lines, so I'm just going to merge that and then edit that and make that white. That was probably the background. Yep, that was the background. So I'm going to go ahead and put that. I should have said edit and undo on there, but I'm going to go edit and just make that as maybe white. And then go to my settings and do not remove all the colors. But I made a little mistake. I might have to go back and do an adjustment through there and put that color back in there because that gray was there. But that was kind of like into his shirt also. So I'm going to go ahead and change that to his shirt. So edit that one and change that to maybe a blue. And whoops, I thought I did that. I had the white, gray, edit, mixer. Change that to like a blue. There it is. And of course, put those, merge those, and so forth. And that's how you edit your design. And then once you get your settings, you do have remove color from the whole design. So if I had a white background, I could remove the whole white. I can merge objects of the same colors as one. So if you're doing maybe a cutting, you may want to put all your blues together. So you cut all your blues together. Remove overlaps. That means you will cut through there. So if there was a big black outline around the whole thing, it would cut a hole in there. Otherwise, it may keep the whole background as black and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and convert that. And there I have my little vector. And of course, you know, if I take this design, ungroup it, break it apart, and say convert, you know, you got to figure that's kind of small, and that was such a low quality art. You may have to digitize some of it. So maybe the black part in area, you might want to digitize it. Probably low, you know, quality art. I should have probably grabbed something more simple because I did not get that, or send it to some place that'll clean up the art as vector, and they will redraw from scratch and tell them what size you want. Pay your $15 to $20. Charge your customers if you're not that good. Of course, I could have redrawn that with all the shapes and welded them together in that, but I'm not going to do take that because it's going to take some time and I don't do it on a daily basis. I'd rather pay someone that $15 or whatever it is, charge my customer, and then digitize it the way I want to. So once again, as I said, I should have brought a simple design in here, and then view, enhance, or icon, and maybe grab something similar to this. Design is a PNG file or something maybe as father of the bride, and then import that. Oh, that was a graphic file from the website. I don't know why I had that, and it's reversed. So, but you could go through and, import, retrace that, and like I said, I don't know why unique art. Oh, gradation. Oh, printables. I don't know why I had that. I think it was just getting ideas. View, large icon, row runner, the cat, tip file. Import that. And then try that. Trace. It's the logo or clip art. And of course, there's all the white. Remove from the entire white. So I'm going to go ahead and specify my white. And like I said, depending on the design, I could go through and I could specify different colors. So if I only wanted certain parts, maybe the soccer ball, I could hold my control key or shift key and start clicking on different areas of the design and only get the parts as I want. Maybe I wanted the eyes or so and not from the whole part or so. So there's several different ways you could do this. But, for now, I'm just going to say it's a clip art. It is, going through here. Oops, I reset. Automatic choose colors. Got rid of the dots because it's too small on there and so forth. On there, merge or remove overlaps and so forth. So you get an idea. You could add and remove and merge the colors as you may want to do all your grays and merge those. So it's very simple. And then the pinks and so forth, white. And then to say convert. And if you don't get the results you want, as you see through here, I'm going to go ahead and grab that artwork, put it to the side, and then group that, and group it. Verify that's overlapped, and to move, and I may have to take these two objects as a black and combine that. So that's a letter R on there. So if you don't get the results, you could do welding and more. So just like I said through here, it didn't quite do what I wanted. I can combine that. Now it's one object is a letter A, and then maybe take the cat and digitize some of this area. It's just part of the design. I'll say convert, get part of the design, and then maybe digitize some of the more detail on there. Whoops. And of course, if it doesn't convert over the way, because I forgot to tag it, I should have tagged that, edit and undo, tagged it as turning stitches. So when I take this, I could tag it and take these two designs, convert it. Whoops, I forgot to ungroup. Somehow I got that in there, but I could go ahead and go back and break it apart and take the middle out. And there's my letter R that I had, just like if I digitized it, and the letter A and so forth. So sometimes it doesn't combine or convert over. This way it gives you an idea working with Corel and converting things over. So the class has basically been 1 hour now. So I'm going to go ahead and grab all this and go ahead and, as I said, there's your discount code if you want to use it for this month. On there, my name was Greg Quishan from Advanced Wilcom, or otherwise Unique Embroidery and Printing. My website, tons of free tutorials, and I'm located in Lansing, Michigan. If you have any questions, you can contact me anytime. Feel free, visit my website. If you're interested, I got a discount code for this month only, Learn 20. It's good for the end of August. You can get 20% off my advanced tutorials. And I'm going to open up the lines, answer some questions. I do not see any questions in the question box, so if you don't have a mic, feel free to type or